Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another Propagandacast with me, Imperial Dane, and today we have for you a 1 versus 1 on Semois. Yes, indeed, it is that quaint French village town by the river, some river, I don't know, it could be ever so many rivers and ever so many French villages. That's why this map is so fantastic. Now then, a bit of a small announcement right before this. An announcement of an announcement, as some would say perhaps, but I am planning a small contest for my 100th episode, which is tomorrow. What sort of contest, you may be asking? A tournament? No, I don't really have the sort of expertise to set that all about, and I don't really have any cash prizes either, so I figured for something smaller, perhaps something a bit more fitting for the Propagandacast as well. Sort of figuring some sort of wallpaper contest, you know, something where people get creative and, you know, create actual propaganda to spread the good words of the channel itself or just Company of Heroes. So if that's something you like, why not let me know? Feedback is always nice. Or if you'd like to see some other sort of competition, again, let me know. I'm a bit open to ideas, but generally I want to do something for the 100th episode, and well, some sort of contest seemed right up my alley. Now then, onto the fight itself. During the night, the 12th SS launch a counterattack against the British holding the line, in this case the 15th Scottish Division under Major McNaP, who is himself having a nap, but is of course quickly aroused as reports are streaming in that the 12th SS are leading the attack under this, oh dear me, there's absolutely no way I'm going to be able to pronounce this, 1943tPeow. How do you ever do that? We just call him Hauptsturmführer Peow, because that's the only thing I can actually pronounce for some reason. I also have a bit of a cold, I fear, so I'll be probably sounding a bit off as well. But again, I shall not be halted like that. I have a duty to supply you with the finest propaganda every day, otherwise I'll be sent to the Eastern Front. Now then, onto the I said, now then, button, onto the fight. And of course we see the Kettenkrad as always. Rarely you see the Schwimmwagen, although I am noting in my own games I am beginning to see them a bit more, but still, Kettenkrad is the way to go. It certainly has the greater amount of utility. And we are seeing the reconnaissance section marching out, going straight for this fuel, of course one of the only medium fuel points, the other being right here, mirrored right there. McNaP saying he's not really entirely keen on this map for the British. So that certainly means he has had some bad luck. That can always happen for everyone. Otherwise you have these 3 victory points in a row. The central village here really being a nasty place for any close quarter action. Of course assault rifles, submachine guns really being a nice spot here. A bit of friendly discussion, and otherwise these 2 points are more open and also yield high yield munitions. So that's always nice. Panzergrenadiers marching towards the center. 12th SS Hitlerjugend, composed of rather young chaps with a core of officers and veteran NCOs from the 1st SS Leibstandarte. If I'm not mistaken, that was a rather usual thing for the Germans to do whenever they had to either recreate a division or start up a new one, to give them a core of veterans to sort of help out the rest, and it generally made ensure that divisions were generally a lot up harder to spec, because they generally had someone to help them out with all those sort of rookie things. So there you go, Panzergrenadiers marching towards the center. British troops are marching about the rear areas, going straight for this point, of course with the headquarters command track. Not a bad idea, ensures that this point is basically unharassable, which is generally a nice thing for the British. We're also seeing the lieutenant marching about completely alone. This is something I recommend being a bit careful with, as it can usually also end up biting you in the ass. As for example, one of my favorite things is, of course, if I see a lieutenant on my own, is of course to kill him as quickly as possible, because you can usually end up doing quite a bit of damage to the British that way, since he's the only thing that will keep British troops moving at a decent speed, and of course he also increases their fighting power. So keeping him alive is generally a good priority also, because once he reaches veterancy 3, he in fact gives you a free command point. So that's also something to keep note of. There's not really many other units that in fact do that. And we have a bit of a small engagement here, and numerous Panzergrenadiers being reinforced by further, and we're seeing incendiary grenades this early into the match. Really aggressive. I suppose that fits in with the 12th SS. Hitlerjugend, who were generally rather aggressive troops, rather tenacious, and in fact rather good troops. They had in fact received some rather unorthodox training even for the SS. In fact, they had received live fire training, which was in fact quite rare for that time. Bren carrier though moving in, blazing with its Bren gun, really capturing some of those Panzer grenades out in the open. Incendiary grenades being flung, hitting rather nicely. Further Scottish troops are catching on fire, but those Panzer Grenadiers are standing right out in the open. The wooden fences apparently somehow making them harder to hit, but still not much in the face of a Bren gun. And I have figured out what the Bren bit at least stands for, the part of course with the Enfield, but the BR stands for the Czechoslovakian town where the gun actually was originally designed. It's something with Briano. Again, Czechoslovakian, not really my sort of thing. And a Panzer Grenadier team is killed on the retreat. Quite nice for McNaP, of course. Not so fun for Hauptsturmführer. And now other troops are running straight through the infantry section, and a single sniper shot could in fact do quite a bit of damage, but no, apparently not. Incendiary grenades continuing to be thrown, forcing them out of cover. That is something incendiary grenades can be quite good at, so of course note this. Incendiary grenades, no dear, the well is on fire, and in fact crumbling under the intense fire from this incendiary grenade. And we see the Bren carrier marching out once more. Kettenkraut sneaking about, seizing territory as well. Panzergrenadiers finding themselves under fire once more while trying to seize a point. Not the best situation. Reconnaissance troops are generally decent troops, of course. The reconnaissance upgrade renders them less effective than your regular infantry section, but also getting the Bren gun itself, so there'll be a lot more Bren guns for the British. And will certainly increase their firepower by a large magnitude. Further Panzer Grenadiers just marching in, really no support at all. Just Panzer Grenadiers, Panzer Grenadiers, Panzer Grenadiers. Catching those reconnaissance troops right out in the open. Bren guns though is on the field, standing out in the open though, but quick to seize up position behind an old stall in the marketplace. And the marketplace is certainly in the market for lead and death. Incendiary grenade on those troops, forcing them back. And also on the reconnaissance section, forcing a full rout, leaving behind only the Bren carrier, which is itself coming under heavy fire. The Bren carrier sort of being a nickname. The general name was in fact Universal Carrier. And also I believe also a larger variant as well for large artillery pieces. This one being the smaller one, fitted with a bit of different weapons. There was, for example, also the Wasp, which was equipped with a flamethrower. Yes, indeed. So there you go for those that didn't know. There were also some capsule variants with the Germans, which were heavily equipped with Panzerschrecks and Panzerfausts, and in fact used the small tank hunters. Bren carrier, though, engine is on fire, forced to pull back as the Panzer Grenadiers continue to mercilessly hunt it down. The route of which they're doing, though, is not the best one, since they're in fact standing right out in the negative cover, meaning they're in fact much easier to hit and kill for the Bren carrier, standing right next to, trying to retreat back to British lines. Right behind all those Bren gunners. Self-repairs, but it is too late. And the Bren carrier goes out of control, wasting munitions. In fact, quite unfortunate. Casualty clearing station nearby though, and reconnaissance section as well. Reconnaissance troops might want to actually help though, instead of just standing around. Panzer Grenadiers forced into a rout after taking the last final casualties. And medics are swift to pull back any wounded Scotsmen for these positions. Otherwise, seeing troops moving about, Lieutenant going for the central victory point, and finally going for this point as well. And we are seeing a Panzerjäger command up. Of course, the logistic company, so we'll probably be seeing the good old, well, not good old, it's a bit boring in fact, but you know, the armored car rush, that which you probably always should expect in general. The Panzer IV rush is of course also what happens occasionally, but really it's mostly about the armored car rush, because for some people it just seems to opt for that sort of lots of firepower right away. Of course, once those armored cars quickly catch on fire and are wrecked, you're sort of left with a wreck and a slightly overburdened economy and a slightly unbalanced force, whereas your opponent, in fact, who might have prepared for this a bit better, will in fact have the stronger force, but we of course have to see. The 15th Scottish are splitting up their troops an awful lot. The lieutenant once more striking out on his own ways. He's a rogue lieutenant, that one. And the French section apparently having a spot of tea, trying to hunt for their senior commanders. Major McNaP, though, booting them in the arse and sending them out on the field. And we are seeing rifle grenades. In fact, quite a lot of infantry weapons. The rifle grenades are in fact quite nice in lodging people out of cover, being a nuisance, and of course also good against buildings. I generally like myself to use rifle grenades, and of course they can also deploy smoke cover, which again is something you rarely see, but it certainly should not be underestimated. And assault rifles for the Panzergrenadiers, lots of assault rifles in fact. The 12th SS really turning up the heat on the reconnaissance troops, forcing them to run the gauntlet while assault rifle bullets are flying everywhere. And oh dear, looks like this mortar emplacement is going to be rushed very soon, and an armored car joining in the fun as well. Brand gun section, and oh dear, all the troops are standing out in the open. They are pulling too close to German troops. Oh dear, and now they are getting covered in incendiary grenades. Brand gun section forced to run right through everything, but my goodness, by St. King George, he survives. But this mortar emplacement is left behind, and it is cleared out, but it is slightly on fire though. Might want to be careful of that. You don't want the munitions to catch on fire. Of course that won't happen in the game, but of course we are trying to make this a bit more interesting. Kettenkrad on the spot. Of course the armored car is nearby as well. No attempts are perhaps to trying to repair that mortar emplacement, but of course Panzergrenadiers aren't the best, so let's not blame them for that.
We are losing an ammo point.
And we are seeing the British recuperating right here. We are seeing the field support truck getting on the spot. The captain is already out ready to support the good major, and we are seeing a Stuart light tank on the way as well. Oh dear, the lieutenant is on his own against the armored car. Run, lieutenant. Oh dear, will he make it out of there, or will he be... Nope.
We lost a lieutenant.
The lieutenant was cut down by the armored car, or otherwise those Panzergrenadiers would have done him in for. But now we have the Stuart light tank on the field, getting the commander upgrade for a bit of extra view range. Not a bad idea. And moving into flank one. Perhaps the British troops are moving in from the other side. Could be a nice pincer maneuver. And Kettenkrad barely gets away one. We are seeing the captain sneaking him out with his Webley revolver in the west. No, the Stuart continues to hunt down the Kettenkrad. The Kettenkrad absolutely helpless in the face of a tank. The Kettenkrad never was really meant to fight those. And now the armored car moves in to actually distract him. Not a bad idea, in fact, to try and catch your opponent's attention with something that's a bit more juicy. Of course, overdriving away again. Really nice maneuver. Bold, aggressive, and of course quick to get out of there before things actually get hot. But now the Stuart is on the spot, ready to clear out the central area, firing away at this more